Kelly, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. I just want to make sure. All right, so thank you all for joining us this fine afternoon. So as Kelly mentioned, my name is Jason Plavick. I am a digital marketing strategist with Advanced Ohio, based here out of Cleveland. We're going to discuss how we can leverage social media and specifically LinkedIn for manufacturers like yourselves. This is a great tool. We're going to get you to understand how you can engage your audience, produce leads, earn thought leadership, and cultivate advocates around your brand. I'm going to throw a lot of stats at you, so please take notes. I'm going to give you some hard facts that make sense and resonate to your questions you may have. I also have my co-host here, Dan Hartman, who is going to be moderating some questions for us. So please ask questions throughout the presentation. I'm going to stop at the end so I can answer them for you. Any questions I do not get to answer, depending on the time, I will shoot out an email answering everyone's questions after the webinar. Just please make sure you type those questions into the chat box. So our agenda for today, I'll give you a brief introduction on who I am and get familiar with my background and the company I work for. We're going to understand your consumer's buying cycle. This is going to be very important in understanding who your target audience is and how you need to be talking to them. Then we're going to discuss why social media for B2B. Getting a little granular statistics on why it's so important for you to have a presence on social media. How social is B2B for you, and why LinkedIn. Why is LinkedIn so important in the manufacturing industry and for B2B in creating advocates and earning thought leadership. And then we're going to show you how you can measure that success. Biggest question all the time is, how can I measure my success, my engagement, my ROI? Well, social media tools, especially LinkedIn, they have that access for you to measure that moving forward, and we'll show you how we can do that. I got a bonus for you. We're going to go over 5 mistakes that I commonly come across when doing these that manufacturers make on social media. And then after that, depending on the time, I'll take some questions and everyone can pick my brain. So like I said, my name is Jason Plavick. For all you tooling and machine guys and ladies rather on the phone, I actually grew up with wrench and sockets in my hand. My dad owned an automotive body shop, so I definitely appreciate the precision craftsmanship, the work that you do, and have some hand in it myself. For the past 12 plus years, I have been working with B2B companies, small to large, in regards to helping them build marketing strategies around their brand and position themselves appropriately in the marketplace. Company I work for is Advanced Ohio. We are part of Advanced Local, which is a leading provider of news and information sites across the nation. Advanced Local oversees 12 other news properties from a print and local publication standpoint. We are also owned by Advanced Digital, our national sales and digital strategy arm of Advanced Local. That is where our operations and our management comes out of. So as a local market, we are a digital marketing firm here to assist your needs as they come. One thing I want to speak of in regards to data. What we do really well over here is we create content for our audiences to consume. We have over 177 million first-party cookie points at each data user, and we have cultivated our own audience by the content that we create for the readership. And we've got some people coming on. Could you mute your phones, please? Thank you. The data part is important for you to understand, because the days of the shotgun approach of creating marketing strategies and throwing things out there is gone. Marketing, technology, and data have all cohesively combined today to be successful, and you have to follow the data and know who your audience is to get the right message out in front of them. So that is something that we pride ourselves on. As a company, from a national arm, we have over 3.1 billion third-party cookies. We serve over 38 billion digital ads on an annual basis. Some of the partners we work with are Google, Microsoft, Lotamate, Axiom, and Nativo. All of these partners that we work with, we help leverage the data so we can drive results for the customers that we work with. So I hope everyone has a pen and paper. I want to take 30 seconds of silence after I ask you these 2 questions. and very important. I want you to really think about them. Who is your audience? Really think about who your audience is. Who is that person that you target specifically with your business? If they walk through the door right now, could you explain to me and paint me a picture of who they look like? And what is the message you want to get across to them? These are two very important components before we get into more granular things on your marketing strategies and how to utilize social. So I'm going to shut up for about 20, 30 seconds. I want you to really think about that. I want you to write that down, and I'll give you my answer here in a minute. All right, I appreciate that. Another thing, if you want, you can throw some audiences in the chat box or your messages, and we can discuss that after or during the end of the webinar. So these two questions are very important. So my target audience is B2B marketers and manufacturers looking to understand marketing strategies to grow their businesses in the right direction, depending on their objectives and goals. And when people hear my name, I want you to think of Jason Plavik as someone who I can go to for marketing strategies for manufacturing. That's very important because when someone hears your brand name, you want to know immediately what you want them to think of you at that point in time. So with that, we look at marketing from a high level of understanding your consumers' buying cycles. So throughout the process, and this is how I work with a lot of my customers in the manufacturing industry in regards to this, your first stage of your buying cycle is your awareness. You're inspiring people to understand who your brand is. What do you do? And then you're attracting their engagement with the value of what you're offering. This is for your industry specifically. This is where a lot of education comes into place. I will preach education every time you hear me speak and every time you meet with me because it's so important in your industry, and I know that you all have so much education to put out there. And the individuals that are your target audience, they want to read that education because it's going to better themselves, it's going to better their career, and it's going to earn thought leadership on your end so they know who to go to for specific answers in the future. And it's also, moving forward, influencing conversion. You want to influence them to become a partner, become a customer. With, again, the value that you engaged them with in the first place. And then re-engaging and keeping them current as customers. You want to take and cultivate an ecosystem around a group of advocates that are going to be loyal and stay with you. So this is an example of an overall marketing strategy, and this is important for you to see. Think of it as this is your tool path to deliver results. In your industry, just as the tip of a cutting tool follows its path to achieve the desired geometry of a workplace, your brand's marketing strategies follow your consumer's path so that you can achieve your desired business growth and achieve your overall objectives and goals. Everything works hand in hand together. Looking at the buying cycle, you can see social media on the second to the last. It covers all areas from awareness, engagement, conversion, all the way to loyalty. But it also works in conjunction with other moving pieces and parts in an overall marketing strategy. So we're going to focus on social media today and why it's so important across the board. But I wanted you to take a look at that and have that to digest as you're thinking and going through things. So why social media for B2B? Big question. Why is social media so important for B2B? We're to build relationships. So social media is your new word of mouth and your new referral base. People like to do business with other people, not companies. So it's still human-to-human interaction. It's still an emotional path when you're engaging someone to become an advocate, become a customer. Layers of interaction in social media. It allows you to reach your current customers. It allows you to reach your old customers, prospects in the community, and much more than that. It allows you to earn and gain thought leadership, again, by educating, creating valuable content that encourages people that make decisions that can encourage them to validate why they want to make a purchase with you or do a sale. It allows your brand to interact with your specific audience. Part of this is your reputation, which you need to manage throughout your social media strategies, throughout your entire marketing strategies. Social listening insight. We want to lean into a conversation that your audience is already going to have so they can gain value on social insight. This is very important because you want them to understand your message and who you're speaking to. So this is multiple ways that you're able to get in front of that specific audience. Some big numbers I just looked at the other day, actually. Again, cultivating an audience, building advocates around your brand. That is what, again, referral tool today for social media in your industry type. LinkedIn, we're going to get into LinkedIn a little bit, but the average social media followers for B2B companies as of 2016, LinkedIn averages over 109,000 followers. Now, this is per business. So businesses in your industry are averaging 109,000 followers via LinkedIn. They're averaging 34,000 followers via Facebook, 18,000 via Twitter, 3,000 via Instagram, 420 via Pinterest. I am not discrediting any other social media outlets out there, but I am going to kind of hone in on the value specifically of how you can leverage the LinkedIn part of it. So how social is B2B? How can we engage that social audience that you're looking for? And please, while we're going through this, think about who that audience is. Think about what your message is. Now, 90% of companies right now are actively using these social media outlets in the B2B world. 90% of them are utilizing Facebook. 53% of them are utilizing Twitter. 47% LinkedIn, and 33% on Pinterest and Instagram. This is important to understand. Why? Well, 41% of B2B companies report generating leads on Facebook. 2 times the amount of those leads are coming from Twitter, and 67% of those leads a month for the companies are coming from blogs. Now, the big thing I want to point out here is LinkedIn generates more leads than Facebook, Twitter, or blogging for B2B. And 61% of the U.S. marketers today use social media to increase their lead gen. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how to get to that point of utilizing these tools so you can increase your lead generation and engagement on that side. So again, how social is B2B? B2B paid advertising usage across the board in percent. 58% of B2B manufacturers are utilizing search engine marketing and search engine optimization as their marketing strategies. 52% are still utilizing print and offline promotions. And we all know our B2B trade associations and pubs, they still work, and we're still going to keep utilizing them. And I will always tell you, if you're doing something that works, please continue to do so. But if you're not, we need to discuss. 49% use online banner ads, and 48% use social ads and promoted boosts, and 42% use promoted boosts as part of their marketing strategies. 34% use native advertising, and 13% use content discovery tools. In a future webinar, we will discuss content marketing part of that, so keep that native advertising in mind. So the leading sites that individual marketers use in the B2B industry for product launches. This is as of March of 2015. LinkedIn ranked #1 as a social media site for the use of product launches among all B2B marketers throughout the entire world at 81%. Twitter following at 71%, Facebook at 54%, YouTube at 54%, Google Plus at 17%, SlideShare at 17%, and down below we got Pinterest at 5% and other. So LinkedIn has been a very, very powerful tool in the B2B community. The reason behind that is humans want to talk to humans. I want to be educated by somebody who is providing me valuable content, valuable education that's going to better myself, better my company, and better my career path. Those are 3 main reasons that people are going to communicate and engage with you via LinkedIn. So the big question on the other side is, are they doing this effectively? So effectiveness for ratings for B2B social media platforms, the most successful B2B marketers in the industry currently will use 7 different social media channels on an ongoing basis. The least effective only use 4. So this goes back to my comment of I do not discredit any other social media channel while we're sitting here beefing up LinkedIn popularity for you. But 63% of B2B marketers are using LinkedIn appropriately. So we still got a huge gap of some that aren't. And only 49% of 49% of marketers today in the B2B world do not have the appropriate tools in place to help them be successful in their marketing strategies. So I want to make sure I can help educate and guide you in the right direction with those appropriate tools. So some of the key challenges that I come across that the marketers in the manufacturing world face. Excuse me. When it comes to social media, this is what some of the challenges are. 50% of them have a difficulty proving ROI. No brainer there. 33% lack of time. 32% no strategic planning in place. There's no plan. They're throwing things at the wall. Hopefully something sticks. 23% of them are just poorly organized and don't have a intellectual understanding of what social media is and how we can do it. And 21% have an insufficient audience. The biggest thing I want to point out about here, out of these top 5, budget did not come up once. So why are we going to talk about LinkedIn for manufacturing? Why are these LinkedIn people so important? You want to enhance prestige around your brand. LinkedIn and the way the platform's set up, it's very powerful, utilizes a lead gen tool. It offers extensive benefits that can help you leverage the direction that you're trying to take your brand and take your company. 74% of businesses research potential clients and job candidates. So LinkedIn, one thing I want to point out with this, LinkedIn can be used for a marketing and a recruitment tool. One thing I want to educate everyone on is when you're utilizing LinkedIn as a marketing and a recruitment tool, you want to keep the two separate. Good word of advice, keep the two separate. You want to have your own recruitment page and you want to have your own business page promoting the brand and who you are and the education that you're providing. And then keep your recruitment side of that separate. It's one of the biggest mistakes I see in the manufacturing world and B2B for LinkedIn is that you're utilizing one page for all of your tasks, whether it's branding, education, and recruitment. And things get lost in the mix, and people aren't able to understand who your brand is the way you want them to. 42% of B2B marketers, they've built new relationships and customers via LinkedIn. Again, people want to do business with people who are going to help them do better in their job, in their career, in their life. 41% of those marketers have increased their brand by utilizing these tools, and 26 generated identifiable business opportunities. So these individuals have utilized this tool to uncover opportunities in the market that their business can jump into and grow in a successful path. So leveraging that engagement, LinkedIn members, they report that people are more likely to buy from a company that they engage with on LinkedIn than any other social media outlet out there. And that's 50% of them, which is a pretty significant number. We're talking the amount of people that are involved in your industry. 80% of those want to connect with companies because of the other connections and opportunities that they have provided with them. Again, people still buy from people. And this makes a valid point to your referral base of your LinkedIn community that you're going to create. The individuals that you educate initially on the front end are going and do business with you are going to continue to spread that word and network through with other individuals on LinkedIn. Another key word with LinkedIn is networking, referrals and networking. Everyone is on LinkedIn for that sole purpose and they know it, but they are not going to engage with you unless you are creating that content specific to your audience and creating that content specific enough that they're going to want to engage with your brand and see you as a thought leader. When we're talking visitor to lead ratio on a conversion standpoint, LinkedIn is 3 times higher than Twitter and Facebook. I I like this statistic, and I like to speak on this because a lot of individuals I consult with, they utilize Facebook heavily as a business tool, which it should be. But Facebook, in my opinion, and I know other social media consultants out there may argue this, is Facebook's a little more personable. You want to get a little more personal with your brand on Facebook and let the individuals understand who you are. You're a living, breathing human. You run a company. It's good for them to understand who you are as a person in the community and what other good you do outside of the workplace. The LinkedIn professional networking tool. What does your business do? What can your business do for me? And what can you do for me to better myself? I'm going to keep repeating that because it's very important for you to understand as you're thinking about who your audience is and what that message is you want to resonate in their mind when they hear your brand name. So some things that you can leverage on social media. We talk about tracking results, measuring success. Well, a great tool for LinkedIn is to utilize a lead generation tool, building your brand, content marketing engagement. Again, I preach the education. You want to create magazine topical content based around topics in your specific industry or specific to your trade or your company. You don't want to give away the secret sauce or any trade secrets to the public, but you want to give them the education that they're asking for, and they will engage with you. Again, LinkedIn is a great tool to use for social recruiting, and in the end, as I say, you want to cultivate a target audience, your specific target audience. Who is that person that walks through the door that is likely to do business with you? Excuse me, I need some water. So looking at your overall objective of your business goal, or your overall objective for your business and the goal of how you get there, and I want you to think about what objectives you currently have set for yourself and the goals that are in line for you to get there. And the question I'm always asked is, how can we measure our success? In the marketing world, we call them KPIs, or key. It drives traffic to your company's website. Your brand, you don't have to do everything via LinkedIn when you're engaging with your brand. You want them to come and learn more about your company. You want them to come and learn more about who you are and what you offer. So it is designed to drive traffic to your website and also increase your referral rate from LinkedIn itself. One thing I do want to point out is that LinkedIn is not an advertising outlet where you're going to see high click-through rates like you would when you're doing display advertising. LinkedIn is specific to a high volume engagement tool, which is what you want because you're providing educational information for these individuals. And you want them to engage with your brand and the content that you're pushing out to them. It's going to allow you to engage with new followers. LinkedIn, currently, every second, 2 people join LinkedIn. So by the time we are done with this webinar, 3,200 people have already joined LinkedIn. In the next 24 hours, 7,200 people have joined LinkedIn. And over the next week, 1.3 million people will have joined LinkedIn. Just in that small time span. And I want you to understand how fast LinkedIn grows and how many people are constantly engaging with this. And another thing, huge for is building your brand awareness, inspiring people to understand who your brand is and why you're so valuable. You want to attract that engagement and continue to inspire them with who your brand really is and how you want that to resonate. So I continue to ask you to think about, if I'm Kennametal, for example, when I hear the name Kennametal, what do I want my audience to immediately think of me first? So measuring success. Question asked a lot. How can I measure my results on LinkedIn so I know what I've got out of it and what it's been doing for my brand and my business on a granular level? So there's 2 different types of ads that you can help measure success with while you're utilizing your LinkedIn tool. You can utilize display ads, which live in the right rail of LinkedIn profile page. And you may see some of these yourself, depending on who you communicate on LinkedIn or who people have targeted you as their current audience. The fun thing about this is you can get very specific. You're not throwing marketing tactics out there or ads in front of people just to throw it in front of them. You can target these users on LinkedIn by their geography, by their industry type, by their job title, by their function, by their seniority, and there's many more parameters around that you can dig into. That's very important because when I consult with individuals, every penny of your marketing dollars has to make sense and go in the appropriate places. So the better you understand your audience and the better I can help you understand who your audience is, the better we can target them. And the better that your marketing efforts makes more sense as you move forward. Now, the other type of ads that you probably see more often on a daily basis as you're engaging on LinkedIn is your sponsored updates. So this lives in people's news feeds. This is when you publish posts. This is a great spot for you to share your magazine-like topical content so you can earn that thought leadership and share your expertise in the industry with your followers. This is something you can get discussions going. You want to create dialogue with your audience. You want to get them engaged and involved enough that they're commenting on your posts and you're engaging back with them and brainstorming and feeding back off each other. Aside from your current followers, this sponsored updates are able to reach people who are not even following you, but may potentially be your audience. So it allows you to reach beyond the people who you're currently following to grab that new audience that you've been looking for. It's similar to your current customer base has always been 80% of your business. Now you have that 20% that you know you need, but how do we get those new faces in front of my brand? So tracking your progress, measuring your success on LinkedIn, you can track it by ads. So each ad that you place, and I'm using a mock-up example of some Advance Ohio ads, each specific ad is laid out so you can track the created date process of it, the status of it. The green box where it says total, that is depending how long you're running that campaign, is going to give you the status and link till completion. How many impressions it served, how many clicks it offered you, what that click-through rate was, what your average cost per click was, and your average CPM cost, which is pennies to dollars per thousand, and your total spend. This will allow to help you measure engagement and measure the cost of how effective the dollar amounts are that you're putting into this, and make sure that on the back end, the financial investment is making sense with what you're looking for on your ROI return. The post-engagement. So outside of looking at impressions and clicks, one of the things you want to look at and measure success with is the reach that you're getting. How many people are unique? How many people are my current customer base? So you're able to break down between the sponsored content that you push out of who has been unique to that throughout the months of your marketing plan, and who organically are you feeding into your brand as you're utilizing these ads out there. The other side of the engagement is you're able to measure in total clicks, likes, comments, shares, followers acquired, and the percent of those that engaged with your ads and engaged with your page itself. So this is very valuable to measure how many people are engaging with the ads that you're putting out there, and helping you better understand is your page and your brand positioned appropriately in the social media space. So you get a good idea of what resonates and how people are interacting with you. Now we want to know who these people are, right? Because again, your audience is so important to understand who you are, so you know what right message to get out to them. So you're able to measure by demographics who these individuals are. And I mentioned some of this earlier. So this was an example of recent reporting that I pulled in the past. You're able to get down by job function. So for this specific report, I'm looking at 58% were engineering, 27 were program and project management, and so on and so forth. We have operations, support, and marketing. So that's valuable to know so you understand who these people are, because if you're only looking to talk to the operations managers and you're engaging with a lot of the support team, the project management team, the marketing team, then it's good for you to know what audience you want to target moving forward. Clicks by region, you want to break it down by DMAs of city type and where they live. This will help you get a good concentration geographically of where most of your followers are coming from. This is great to use for trends in your marketing strategies and layering that in with understanding who the job functions are. Everything from this is all the data that you're going to need to continuously evolve your campaigns moving forward. And as I mentioned earlier, you need to follow the data. Just as on our end, every campaign that we run for customers, we're looking at the data up front. We're always looking at the data after the campaign, because the data that up front we learned is going to be different after the campaign that we just ran, and we need to evolve in the right direction and follow that data to be most successful for you. Just as you need to do yourself as you're implementing your own marketing strategies in-house. Again, seniority, if these persons are director levels, shop floor levels, managers, CIOs, CTOs, presidents, CEOs, you can get real granular on who these individuals are. And the better you know who you are, the better you can target them. Different view of some other demographics that you can take a look at instead of looking at the pie chart example for itself. Some of the follower demographics that you can look at is, again, seniority. Are they management? Are they director? Are they partners? Are they entry level? Are they senior management? Some of the demographics for job title type and industry type, mining and minerals, mechanical, machinery, consumer, accounting, financials, whatever it may be, you're able to narrow down who your followers exactly are. And this will, again, help you understand the content to create that you're pushing out. So I'm running a little ahead of schedule. I'm going to pause, or I'll take 5 minutes to take a couple questions. Do you have any questions, Dan? No questions. I've either answered all of your questions you've had, or you're all sleeping. So if nobody has any questions, I'm going to move on to the 5 top mistakes that I've come across that are made in social media by manufacturers. So, number 1, being inactive on social media. Most manufacturers, they have links to their social media outlets. Excuse me. Most manufacturers, they have links to their social media outlets or on their homepage. But if you click on any of them, they go to that outlet and they find nothing's been posted. So if I'm coming to your Facebook page, or coming to your LinkedIn page, and I want to learn more about your company, I engage with one of your ads, and I don't see any activity on there, you haven't posted any relevant content, there hasn't been any updates, and I see this quite often. There hasn't been anything posted, period, or it hasn't been posted in months, and or it hasn't been posted in years. That's something you want to avoid. If you're going to have social media pages linked from your website that are living out there live, you want to make sure yourself or you have somebody actively on them. And it's not something that you have to oversaturate in the market. You need to continuously post industry type relevant content to your specific industry that is valuable for your prospects and customers to continuously read on it on a frequent basis. You want them to come back to you because you're providing that education. On LinkedIn itself, if you're posting internally, I'd recommend 2 to 3 posts a week. So it's not something that you have to spend a lot of time on. If you have some great topics to talk on, it takes you a few minutes to sit down and put some posts up. Very valuable for you to keep that audience engaged. Number 2, so thinking prospects aren't on social. Huge problem. So many manufacturers think that they're not on social media themselves, so why should their prospects be? The answer to that is they are there. Manufacturing industry is the 3rd largest industry in the United States that is on LinkedIn. Out of 107 million LinkedIn users in the United States, over 16 million of them are in the manufacturing industry, and that number keeps growing. to add to that, LinkedIn is one of the most successful B2B social media outlets. 6.9 million users in the manufacturing industry are making this their third highest number of members. Number 3, not taking advantage of easy opportunities. So the problem is, if a company is attending an industry trade show, event, workshop, whatever it may be, they're more likely to have a hashtag associated with it. Companies really take advantage of this opportunity. So speaking outside of LinkedIn and social media in general, this is your new word of mouth. This is your new referral base. You're able to not only the days of being in a room with 100 people, the days of being in a room with a trade show with thousands of people, and you're only able to get in front of a handful of them. This is an opportunity for you to take advantage of and utilize a hashtag in your company posts, because you want people to start engaging with you and start creating user-generated content based off of your brand or that event that you're at, or you're guiding them to your attendee booth, or you're guiding them to your LinkedIn page. But you want to be able to utilize situations like this that are quick and easy for you to engage your audience. And when you have such a large audience to engage with in one spot, that makes it even more valuable for you. So not using hashtags, number 4, to get content found. So every time a company posts on social media, you always want to have a goal in mind. But most that I talk to have not had a goal in mind. So are you trying to connect with your prospects by sharing maybe an industry trend white paper that you just published? Or are you trying to connect them with a different design or a different design tool that has came out, or a different technique of your process that you want them to know makes you unique against your competition? Valuable information that you want to educate them with. So solution for that would be include your hashtags to get your content found. Hashtag groups are similar content and similar to content, and they're very important when you're utilizing Twitter, Facebook, Google+, but they are not used on LinkedIn. And I want to make that very clear. The hashtags do not get used on LinkedIn, but they're very important for your other social media outlets that you should be on, which are Twitter, Facebook, and Google. This allows you to create a unique thread, again, to engage with those individuals and create group discussions. And then you have user-generated content that you could use of value in the end game when you're pushing out other content pieces in the future. So number 5, you're not using the right social media outlets. So assuming you know what social media outlets their prospects are using. Again, knowing your audience. If you don't know who your audience is, you're not going to know where you should be positioning yourself in the market and what message to put in front of them and how. I find that a lot of B2B marketers I work with, they find huge success by using LinkedIn, but it's because most of their prospects are on LinkedIn. And we know this because we know who their audience is, we know how to target them. But you cannot rule out the other channels. We have millions and millions of people that are on these social media channels on a daily basis. So it's very important that you define your targeted personas so you can figure out what these other prospects are utilizing outside of LinkedIn and other social media channels. And this solution, in my opinion, it goes for your overall marketing strategy. When you're thinking about that, understanding your audience will better help you spend your marketing dollars appropriately and positioning you in the marketplace where you're going to be the most effective, where you're going to engage and create advocates and influence the engagement to become a customer of yours.
So as Jason was going through those 5 mistakes, a couple questions did come in, and so I'm going to go ahead and read them off and let Jason kind of speak to them a little bit. The first one came in from Pete. Pete said, how do you separate the marketing versus recruitment page on LinkedIn?
Hi, Pete. So my recommendation that you would do is you create 2 separate pages for your company. One page is specific to recruitment, and that is the only piece that you are piece of content and engagement that you're pushing out on that page is for recruitment only. And then you have your main company page as your brand that you want to utilize for your marketing engagement. This will allow to keep the two separate. What I have found in the past is that when you have the two, when you have recruitment and marketing meshed on your brand page, on your main brand page, you get the communication lost of the message that you're trying to put out of who your brand is. And then you get the communication lost of who you're trying to put your workforce development program in front of. So I would definitely recommend that you keep those two separate. Just create a separate page and keep the recruitment content on the recruitment page, and keep your marketing content and your brand content on the brand page itself. And one thing I do want to add to that I came across quite often with LinkedIn, with B2B, a lot of individuals will take their group discussion pages and make it their own brand page. So your group discussion page is to be utilized as a dialogue tool, engaging your followers, engaging your connections to communicate with you on articles that you've posted, events that you're sharing, white papers that you have written, new ideas that you're putting in front of them. You want them to continue to engage on a discussion page, but I recommend please do not use your discussion page as your main company branded page. And I wanted to add to Pete's question on that just because I see that happen quite often with the two.
And Pete kind of did a quick follow-up there too, Jason, and said, okay, 2 pages, I got it, but they need to link to one another, yes? So should those 2 pages in some way be connected?
Yes. So although you're having 2 separate pages for your recruitment, it's the same as your website. You're backlinking and you're inbound linking off of other sites that are relevant and valuable for you to be in front of. So you definitely want to make sure that your marketing or your main brand page is able to have somewhere on that page, on your right rail, that they can go to the recruitment page. If they're on your recruitment page, they can go back to your brand page.
All right, another question that we had was from Will and said, I get requests to connect with people that I don't know all the time on LinkedIn. Should I accept their requests?
Yes and no. So, Will, great question, because I do get asked this a lot. We all ask that because we don't know who are the creepers out there and who aren't. LinkedIn, again, is used for a networking referring tool. Everyone on there is their network. Everyone on there is there to help each other grow in their industry together, gain valuable insight, and help refer each other business. What I would recommend is knowing who, again, your audience is. Who do you want to be in touch with? Who is likely to refer you to somebody that you're going to connect with? Who is likely going to do business with you that you're going to connect with? I'll give you a real-life example on my end. I am in the marketing industry. I get a crap ton of real estate agents and insurance brokers trying to connect with me. I do not connect with them because I have nothing relevant to offer them, and they have nothing relevant to offer me. So I hope that example helps make your decisions on who you decide to connect with in the future.
Another question that we had from Katie was, can we get a copy of this presentation?
Yes, Katie, I will send a PDF copy out, or I'll hand it over to Kelly, and she can send it out to everyone, however she wants to handle that. So you do have a copy of the presentation moving forward. And if there's any further questions, my contact information will be in there. I'm always available to answer questions that you have.
Another question we had from Tyler was, do you use the LinkedIn Sales Navigator? Do you think that it's worth the investment? And around how many users do you have for that? Do you recommend one per company, or kind of what are your thoughts with that?
So the LinkedIn Sales Navigator tool is a little different animal. It's not something personally that I utilize myself. I feel that it's going to be worth the investment if you're going to be actively on it and continuously, digging through the individuals that are on there. What I'm going to do for you, Tyler, is I'm going to get some more information on that, just because I don't utilize the Sales Navigator tool myself. So I'm going to talk to someone within corporate who does and get a good answer for you, and I'll email you out Tyler, could you send a message on the chat with your last name so I make sure okay, you got it, perfect.
Another question we had was from Rachel. Rachel said, should the same posts go on all social media outlets or should they be different? And kind of what do you suggest around making them different, or how would you change them up maybe?
You know, the answer to that, Rachel, is yes, they should go on all posts. I mean, your posts should go on all social media outlets, assuming you have the appropriate audiences on each social media channel. I say that because I find individuals that have their Facebook on there, but it's all friends and family. So if you're posting something in regards to your brand or your business that's going on your Facebook page as well, it's not going to resonate with that audience. I personally use a tool called Hootsuite, and there's other automation tools out there that I can create pieces of content and post it to multiple social media channels all at once. You know, it'll help break down the Twitter feed as well, since you only have, I think, 160 characters you can add in there, period. Yes, it goes back to my point of don't just take LinkedIn as your #1 tool, which for the B2B world, it is. Don't discredit all the other social media outlets that are out there that your audience could be on. So as long as your target audience is on those channels, yes, push out all your posts.
And Kathy, you asked a question that kind of fell perfectly in line with what it was that Jason just answered, but asking about social post management tools that Jason might recommend, such as Hootsuite or other things like that. So I'll let him go a little bit more in depth about Hootsuite and his use for it.
Yeah, so the one that I've been using has been Hootsuite. Depending on the size of your company, you may want to look into some other automation tools, and I can send you some links, Kathy, on that. Ones that I would recommend for you, you can kind of look into them. From a very holistic perspective, I think Hootsuite's great just because it allows me to align my social media channels that I'm very particular in posting my content to. And I can do it all at one place and monitor everything at one single location. Depending how in-depth you want to get, they do kind of limit you on the amount of social media outlets that you can post to without a subscription. So, Kathy, I'm going to send you some other automation tools that I've looked into in the past and that I know that we use as a company, and I have other customers I work with that use internally themselves as well. So we are at about 250. Kathy, you are very welcome. Does anyone else have any more questions?
It looks like Betty just asked, how do you effectively determine what social media outlets our target audience is using?
So how do you repeat that for me?
Yep, let me just say that again. How do you effectively determine what social media outlets our target audience is using? So what are the best ways really to determine your target audience if you're in any business, Jason?
Well, determining your target audience on social media outlets goes back to acquiring some data in regards to who they actually are. Knowing who everybody is at once gets a little tricky. If you're doing things yourself, let's say LinkedIn, for example, and you want to know who the audiences are on there. LinkedIn has very crafty and very granular search mechanisms on there. So when you're doing a search on LinkedIn, you're able to narrow down by industry type, by title, by seniority, by geographic location. If you know what kind of audience you want, you're able to, on LinkedIn specifically, prior search to that audience itself. So you'll be able to see who is there and who isn't. When it comes to Facebook, if you're familiar with Facebook, and if not, I can always walk people through this outside of the webinar. Facebook has a great tool on its promotional side when you're creating ads or boosting posts. It allows you to kind of dig down into specific audiences and behavioral traits. So if you're looking for someone that's in manufacturing, if they have an audience for it, it's going to pre-populate while you're searching for it. If it does not, then we know that audience isn't going to be present. Twitter and Pinterest get a little more tricky. In general, a lot of the individuals I work with in the industry, they will utilize a vendor, or they will come to us, for example, to help them kind of figure out on a more granular, specific level of who is out there that they need to be in front of and where they need to go. So, Betty, I hope I was able to answer some of your questions for you. So there's a big part that you can do yourself, utilizing those tools between LinkedIn and Facebook, and there's a part that you may want to call a consultant in to help you pull their data themselves with the tool that they have on a more granular level.
Another question just came in, Jason, too, from Andy Hollander saying, also, are there LinkedIn groups which might be advantageous to be a part of?
There are always LinkedIn groups that are advantageous to be part of. Great question, Andy. Andy is actually a local buddy of mine, works in the manufacturing field himself. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different groups for you to be involved with on LinkedIn. I would, from personal experience, 10 years ago, getting into marketing and social media, I would be very particular on the groups that I join, just to make sure that they're specific to my industry type. Just as everyone wants to get the same knowledge and education from you and grow within the network, you want to do the same. So specific manufacturing groups for you to join, I would definitely recommend your B2B trade associations. From a marketing perspective, I would recommend following a couple different companies that you may have worked with in the past. I'll throw Advance Ohio out there, for example, and Think Media. They post a lot of relevant content in regards to marketing automation tools and marketing tactics for you to utilize. Going through specific manufacturings, I have a list that I utilize with my clients, and I can send that out to everyone when I send the deck out. This way you can kind of poke through yourself, because the list is so extensive, and figure out which ones will make the most sense for you and your brand.
Another question just came in from Christina again, saying, where can I go to get some LinkedIn training for my business?
So LinkedIn does webinars themselves directly. I do training myself directly, as our company does. So if you would like some hands-on training, please reach out to myself and we can set that up. We can walk you through, I don't know if you're local or not. If not, we can share screens and we can walk you through some things and answer some questions that you have on a more granular level, on a one-on-one focus. Outside of that, I would follow LinkedIn. They do a lot of webinars. Some of their webinars get statistical. I know that some of them, they kind of walk you through some things, but sometimes they don't. So if there are specifics that you need walked through on LinkedIn, I'd be more than happy to get together with you outside of the webinar and see if we can set that up to get you a little more personal touch on that.
And just like Jason does webinars on marketing and LinkedIn, he also does trainings through webinars as well.
Yeah, we can hop on and share screens and give each other control, so make it interactive. Any other questions? No, looks like we're good. So a couple housekeeping announcements. One thing I added in here for you that I want you to take home in this deck that I want you to think about. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. I gave you some information in regards to each social media outlet, so you primarily know what each is utilized for. Kind of get an idea. This goes back to the audience question too. Get an idea of what personas are going to be on these marketing mediums. And if you have questions on this, please, you'll have my contact information at the end of the deck. Reach out with any questions you have. This part I wanted you to have to take home and kind of digest for yourselves. Upcoming events for NTMA. Take a moment to jot down upcoming dates that we have. Around the corner, they have NTMA partners with PMA on their legislative conference coming up here April 11th through 13th in DC. In April as well, we have the technology tour, which is going to be over in Japan. Tiffany, I'm jealous of you. Financial Managers Roundtable is going to be April 27th, and National Robotics League Competition May 20th through the 22nd in California again this year. We got our Workforce Development coming roundtable in May out in out in California. Emerging Leaders Conference, which I will be talking on some more social media and content marketing strategies for you, along with some other guests. IMTS is September 12th through the 17th, and Sales and Marketing Workshop coming up in September out in Philadelphia. I hear that one's going to be great. Make sure you make note of these. You know, you can contact Tiffany and Kelly with anything. I want to thank Tiffany and Kelly for having me. I thank all of you for taking the time out of your busy afternoon to join us. And again, here's my contact information if you have any questions. Please don't hesitate to reach out. So that's about it. Kelly, it's all yours.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for this presentation. And you're going to be sending it out to the attendees, the slide deck in an email, correct?
Yeah. Do you want me to send that out,